I don't have much time to explain, and even if I did, I'm not sure you'd believe me. But I need you to hear me, because this might be the last time anyone ever does. Every kid in my town is gone. Vanished. No goodbyes, no clues, no headlines in the papers. Just silence where their laughter used to be. And now, I think I'm next. That's why I'm talking to you. Not because I want sympathy, not because I want to be remembered. No, this is a warning. A confession, whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if uploading this will work, or if the game will let it spread. But I have to try. You've probably heard whispers already. Maybe a post on Reddit. Maybe some WhatsApp forward your cousin laughed at before deleting. Maybe a headline buried under celebrity gossip. Another missing child in small town. But none of those people told you the truth. They couldn't. The town covered it up. The parents, they lied to themselves. And the internet? It always looks the other way when it's something this dark. But I was there. I played it. And I saw what it did. At first, it was just curiosity. That's how it always starts, right? Somebody dares you, or you stumble across a file you weren't supposed to see. And you think, what's the worst that could happen? You don't realize the worst is far worse than anything you can imagine. I should stop here. My hands are shaking just typing this, because part of me knows that even speaking about the game is dangerous. It listens. It spreads through words. That's how it survives. That's how it grows. Every detail I give you brings it closer to you. But then again, maybe it's already too late. The streets of my town used to echo with kids, playing cricket in the alleyways, chasing each other past the corner shop, screaming when someone's mom called them home for dinner. Now, you can walk down the same street and hear nothing but stray dogs and buzzing lights. It's a ghost town, but only for the young. And the adults? They act like nothing's wrong. Like the kids never existed. That's the part that scares me the most. I need you to listen closely, because the story I'm about to tell isn't just another creepy chain message. It's not a campfire tale. This is real. And once you know the truth, you can't unknow it. If you're watching this, you've probably already heard about the game, but you don't know what it does. Let me tell you, it was supposed to be an ordinary summer. The kind that passes so slowly you can almost feel the air stretching, heavy with heat and dust. In our town, summers meant cricket matches in the empty lot near the masjid, the smell of fried samosas from the corner stall, and the constant hum of fans struggling against the power cuts. Everyone's doors stayed open, kids running in and out without permission, mothers shouting from rooftops when it was time to come home. We didn't have malls or cinemas, not like the big cities. What we had were evenings when the whole neighborhood gathered at the chai shop, men arguing about cricket scores while kids chased kites across rooftops. What we had were stories. Gossip passed through WhatsApp groups. Chain messages with dramatic warnings like, forward this to 7 people or your mother will die. We all laughed at those, of course. Nobody believed them. I used to think our town was boring, the kind of place nothing ever happened. But now, looking back, I'd give anything for that boredom again. Because boredom is safe. There were about 12 of us who always hung around together. My best friend, Ollie, who could bowl faster than anyone our age. Sanaa, who pretended to hate us but still showed up every evening with a packet of chips. Even little Hamza, who was too young to keep up but followed us anyway, always begging to be part of the game. We were loud, messy, inseparable. The kind of kids who thought the world ended at the edge of the neighborhood. That summer, though, something felt different. Not at first, not enough for us to notice. Just small things. Adults lowering their voices when we entered a room. Parents scrolling their phones with worried expressions. Rumors spreading in the market about children acting strange. But whenever we asked, they'd wave us away. Nothing you need to worry about. We shrugged it off. What could possibly happen here? I remember one night in particular. We were sitting on the steps outside my house, sharing a melted pack of ice cream that had survived the blackout. Ollie leaned closer, his voice low, like he was about to tell us a secret. Have you guys heard about the game? He whispered. The others laughed, tossing empty wrappers at him. Another one of your ghost stories. Sanaa teased. No, I'm serious, he said. It's going around on WhatsApp. Some file people are forwarding. Kids are saying it's different. That once you play it, things change. We rolled our eyes. Hamza begged to know more, of course, but Ollie wouldn't explain further. He just smirked and said, you'll see. Back then, I laughed it off. I thought it was just another stupid rumor, like those cursed phone numbers or chain letters promising bad luck. I didn't believe him. I laughed then, but I wish I'd never touched it. It started the way all dangerous things do, as a joke. A few days after Ali's whisper, a link appeared in our WhatsApp group chat. It didn't come from any of us, at least not that we admitted. Just a blue hyperlink with the words, "Play me," smiley face. No sender's name. No number we recognized. Just there, glowing between our usual spam of memes and cricket updates. "Who sent this?" Sana asked. Nobody answered. Ali grinned. "That's it. That's the game I was talking about." We stared at him, waiting for him to laugh, but he didn't. His face was too calm, too confident. Hamza, of course, reached for his phone first. "Should I click it?" His eyes were wide, hungry for inclusion. "Don't be stupid," Sana snapped, slapping his hand. "It's probably a virus. Or worse, some scam to hack your phone." But the rest of us, we were curious. That was the problem. It was always curiosity. That night, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I told myself I wouldn't download anything shady, but the thought dug in. What if it really was just a silly prank? What if the others played it without me, and I was the only one left out? The next evening, Ollie showed up at the cricket lot, eyes shining like he'd seen something he couldn't explain. He held up his phone. "I did it," he said. We crowded around. On his screen was a black icon, just a simple circle with a white smiley face. No name, no company, no data usage listed. It shouldn't have existed, yet there it was. "What's it called?" I asked. Ollie shrugged. "It doesn't have a name." He tapped the icon. The screen lit up with blocky, pixelated graphics, something that looked like it belonged on a cheap 90s handheld. A stick figure character stood in the middle of an empty street. Above it, words flickered. "Welcome, Ali." Sanaa laughed nervously. "You probably typed your name in." "I didn't," Ollie said. "It just knew." We exchanged looks. Nobody wanted to admit it out loud, but something felt wrong. Still, it looked harmless. Childish. Just a little figure walking around a badly drawn town. "Is that it?" I asked. "What's the point?" Ollie tapped again. The stick figure moved forward. Words appeared at the top. Task 1, knock on the door. On screen, a crooked little house appeared. The stick figure walked up, knocked, and the game chimed. "Good job." We laughed. It was stupid. The kind of thing you'd delete after 5 minutes. But then it asked for the microphone. "Allow game to hear you." Ollie hesitated. "It won't work otherwise." He tapped yes. The next task appeared. Say your favorite color. Ollie, rolling his eyes, said, "Blue." The game beeped. "Correct." Sanaa frowned. "Correct? What does that even mean?" Ollie just smirked. "See? Nothing scary. Just dumb." He pocketed the phone, like it was no big deal. But the look on his face said otherwise. Later that night, when I was lying on my bed, my phone buzzed. A new notification. The same link. "Play me," smiley face. I stared at it for a long time. My chest felt heavy, like someone was watching me through the screen. I told myself I'd ignore it. I told myself I wasn't like Ollie. But by midnight, the thought chewed me raw. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't focus. All I could think was, what if it really isn't dangerous? What if it's just some weird meme game, and I'm being paranoid? So I clicked. The download was instant. No loading bar, no permissions. The icon appeared on my home screen before I realized what I'd done. The same circle, the same smiley face. When I opened it, the screen was black for a moment. Then white letters appeared. "Welcome, my name." I froze. I hadn't typed anything. My name wasn't even saved in my phone in that way. But it was there, staring back at me. It wasn't the graphics that scared me. It was the way the game knew my name. At first, the game pretended to be innocent. That's the clever part. The part that hooks you before you realize what you've agreed to. The opening levels were laughable. Pick up the ball. Cross the street. Say your favorite food. Childish prompts, easy to brush off. I remember laughing with Ollie about it the next morning, both of us standing outside the shop as we sipped lukewarm sodas. But even then, there was something off. The game didn't just respond, it reacted. When Ollie's character picked up the ball, a line of text flickered at the top. "Like you did yesterday at the cricket lot." He showed me the screen. I felt my stomach drop. "It's just coincidence," I said too quickly. But deep down, I knew there was no way it could have known that. That evening, when I opened the game again, my task was, go to the window. I hesitated, my phone slick with sweat. But I did it. I walked to the window in my room and pulled the curtain aside. On screen, the stick figure did the same. The text at the top read, "Good. I see you. I dropped the phone so hard it bounced off the bed. My heart hammered in my chest. I wanted to delete it, to throw the damn phone against the wall, but something in me couldn't. Because part of me still thought, maybe I'm imagining it. Maybe it's some strange algorithm, a creepy little trick. The next day, the neighborhood was the same as always, or it seemed like it. Kids playing cricket in the heat, someone blasting Bollywood songs from a speaker, old men arguing about politics at the chai stand. Everything normal, almost too normal. That's when Sana pulled me aside. Her face was pale. Did your game talk to you? I tried to laugh. They all talk. It's just... No, she interrupted. Not like that. It whispered. In my own voice. It said things I never told anyone. I didn't know what to say. We stood there, both of us holding our phones like they were ticking bombs. That night, I played again. The task was, tell me your secret. I nearly shut it off right there. But curiosity gnawed at me. What would happen if I refused? What if I lied? I whispered something small, something I thought wouldn't matter. I stole 50 rupees from my dad's wallet once. The stick figure froze. The screen glitched. Then text appeared. And oh, the other one. My throat closed. I hadn't told anyone about that. Not even Ollie. Not even myself, if I'm honest. I shoved the phone face down on the desk and didn't pick it up again until morning. And that morning, Hamza was gone. His mother stood in the street, shouting his name, her voice breaking. Neighbors gathered, murmuring, offering theories. He must have run away. Maybe he went to his uncle's in Karachi. But none of us believed that. Not really. Hamza was only 9. He didn't even know how to cross town by himself. Ollie avoided my eyes. Sana wouldn't speak. But I knew, we all knew, it had something to do with the game. Still, the adults refused to see it. My own parents told me not to spread nonsense when I tried to explain. They scolded me for even mentioning Hamza's name. That's when I realized we were alone. Whatever this was, it was ours to face. The days blurred together after that. More tasks, stranger whispers. Sometimes the game would speak in a friend's voice. Sometimes in my mother's. Once, it sang a lullaby I hadn't heard since I was 3 years old. It was digging into us, peeling us open. And then it happened again. Another kid gone. This time it was Bilal, the tallest boy in our group, the one who always laughed the loudest. He played the game during our cricket match. 1 second he was there, smirking at us, phone glowing in his hand. The next second, he wasn't. Just gone. The ball rolled into the dust. We stood frozen, waiting for someone to explain, for him to jump out from behind a wall and yell surprise. But he never came back. That night, Bilal's father locked himself inside his house. The police came once, then never returned. By morning, people walked past their home like it didn't exist. We thought he'd come back. But the next morning, another kid was gone. You don't want to know what happens when you lose the game. You really don't. But I'll tell you anyway. You don't notice how loud a town is until it goes quiet. At first, it was just Hamza, then Bilal. We told ourselves it was bad luck, coincidence, something we could explain away. But one by one, the sounds of childhood drained from the streets like water leaking from a cracked jug. The cricket lot grew emptier each evening. Where there were once 2 full teams, there were now only 4 or 5 of us, half-heartedly tossing the ball until we gave up and sat in the dirt. The kites disappeared from rooftops. The schoolyard echoed with silence. Even the stray dogs seemed to wander less, as if they knew something we didn't. By the 3rd disappearance, the whispers began. Parents spoke in hushed tones when they thought we weren't listening. Teachers looked at empty seats, then erased names from the attendance book as though the kids had never existed. I asked my mother about Hamza one night, and she stared at me like I'd made up a ghost. There was never a Hamza on this street, she said firmly. Yes, there was, I argued, my voice cracking. He lived 2 houses down. We played every day. She cut me off, eyes narrowing. Don't spread lies. Go finish your homework. And just like that, the conversation was over. The strangest part wasn't their denial, it was their detachment. Parents didn't cry. Teachers didn't grieve. It was as if the adults had agreed on some unspoken rule. Forget the missing, pretend they never existed, keep the world turning. But we remembered, and that's what made it worse. Ollie grew restless. The game's changing, he told us one night. We were gathered in the empty lot, the glow of our phones illuminating our faces. It's not just stupid tasks anymore. What do you mean? Sana asked. He showed us his screen. The stick figure stood before a crude drawing of a house. Above it, the words flickered. "Bring me something that belongs to your friend." "That's creepy," I muttered. "Did you do it?" Ollie didn't answer right away. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a red cricket ball. Bilal's ball. The one he brought the day he disappeared. We stared at it in silence. The game beeped. "Good. He is with us now." Sanaa's voice trembled. "You shouldn't have." "What choice do I have?" Ollie snapped. "It doesn't let you ignore it. If you do nothing, it punishes you." I didn't ask how he knew. I didn't want to. Over the next week, the tasks grew darker. Mine asked me to stand outside my teacher's house at midnight. Another told me to dig in the vacant lot until my hands blistered. When I hesitated, the phone buzzed angrily, the screen filling with words I can still see burned into my mind. Obey or join them. School became a farce. Desks sat empty, yet no one acknowledged it. A teacher asked me to read aloud from my textbook, but the page was blank. When I showed her, she smiled stiffly and said, "It's fine, Beta. Just keep going." I knew then. The adults weren't just ignoring this, they were part of it. One day, I cornered our math teacher, Mr. Rahman, after class. "Where are the others?" I demanded. "You know something?" He adjusted his glasses, not meeting my eyes. "Children come, children go. It is the way of the world." "That's not an answer," I shouted. He finally looked at me then, and I swear there was pity in his gaze. "Stop asking questions, son. Some games are not meant to be played." I left his office shaking. That night, the game updated. It didn't ask, it forced itself open, screen glowing in the dark. The stick figure looked different now. Taller, its smile sharper. The task appeared. "Bring me a name." I didn't understand. Then a text box appeared, blinking. It wanted me to type. I thought of Hamza, of Bilal, of the others who had vanished. My fingers hovered over the screen. If I gave it a name, would it take them? If I refused, would it take me? I shut the phone off. But in the silence that followed, I swear I heard whispering. My own voice, echoing back at me from the dead screen. "Don't fight it. Just choose." The next morning, Sanaa was gone. Ollie wouldn't speak to me. He walked through town like a shadow, his phone clutched tightly in his hand. The remaining kids avoided each other's eyes. We all knew the truth now. We were running out of time. By then, the streets didn't feel like ours anymore. They felt hollow, like stage sets waiting to collapse. Shops were open, but no one shopped. Buses passed, but no one rode. Even the air smelled different, metallic, unnatural. We weren't just losing friends. We were losing the town itself. And through it all, I kept the game on my phone. I still have it. Right now, even as I speak to you, the icon sits on my home screen, waiting. And it's active. I've tried to tell myself this is just a nightmare, that the game is nothing more than corrupted code some twisted genius left behind. But if that were true, kids wouldn't be gone. Whole lives wouldn't be erased. Families wouldn't pretend their own children never existed. No, this isn't just code. This thing is older, deeper, and like every curse, it comes with rules. I didn't know them at first. None of us did. We stumbled blind into it, laughing like fools. But the game has rules, and every time someone broke one, it claimed them. That's the pattern. That's the law. So listen to me carefully. Because if you ever see this file, if it ever slithers onto your phone through a forwarded message, or tucked inside some folder where it doesn't belong, don't touch it. Don't even let curiosity win. I'm going to tell you the rules. Not because you'll survive them, but because maybe, just maybe, you'll be smart enough to never play. Rule 1. Never play alone. The first night, we all thought it was funny how the game demanded multiple players. Like it's some co-op, Ollie joked. But it wasn't a joke. I remember Adnan. He was a loner, always sitting apart from us at school. One evening he messaged me out of the blue. I installed it. Couldn't wait. Let's see what happens. The next morning, his desk was empty. His parents swore they never had a son. Even the teachers denied his existence. But I remembered. I still remember. That's the curse of being close to it. You don't forget, even when the world erases them. Rule 2. Never close the game before completing a task. Sanaa broke this one. Her challenge was simple. Stand by the banyan tree until the streetlight flickers 3 times. She stood there, trembling, but she couldn't wait. She shut her phone, shoved it in her pocket, and ran home. I saw her the next day. Or rather, I saw something walking around in her skin. She smiled too wide, blinked too slow. Her voice came out wrong, like it was echoing from somewhere underground. She came to school, sat through class, and never spoke to any of us again. By the following week, even that hollow version of her was gone. Rule 3. Never talk about the game to adults. We didn't know this one until it was too late. Ollie tried. He told his father everything. His father laughed, called it botcha party nonsense, then stormed into the room to delete the file himself. The next morning, both of them were gone. Their house stood locked, windows dark. The neighbors swore no one had lived there for years. But I remembered. The adults don't help. Maybe they can't. Maybe they're part of it. All I know is, if you try to break the silence, the game erases more than just you. It erases everything tethered to you. Rule 4. Always give the game what it asks for. This one's the worst. Because the game doesn't stay innocent forever. At first, it wants silly things. Marbles, chalk, candy wrappers. Then it escalates. A shirt button, a lock of hair, blood, drawn from your fingertip. One kid, Farah, refused. She threw her phone into the canal. The next morning, her little sister, 6 years old, was gone. And when Farah came back to school, her eyes were hollow pits. Like she'd traded everything inside herself just to keep breathing. Rule 5. Never let the game know your fear. This one sounds ridiculous until you see it happen. The game doesn't just give commands. It watches. Somehow it watches. If you tremble while holding your phone, if you hesitate too long before clicking, if you breathe too loudly, something shifts. The stick figure grins wider. Its eyes darken. It begins to whisper your name through the speaker. I saw this happen to Hamza. His hands shook as he typed. The figure's mouth split open like a wound, and his phone buzzed with a message. You are mine. By morning, he was gone. Rule 6. Never break the chain. This is the rule that chilled me the most. Because the game isn't content to live in one device. It spreads. Every task ends the same way. Forward this file to one friend, or it ends with you. We thought it was superstition. Spamware. But the first kid who refused, Yasser, vanished mid-conversation. One moment he was laughing with us, phone in hand. The next he was gone. No scream. No warning. Just empty air where he stood. And worse, the file still sent itself from his number. His ghost, forwarding death to the rest of us. By the time we pieced these rules together, half the town was gone. And the truth hit me harder than anything else. This wasn't new. The old women in the bazaar had whispered for years about the hungry shadow that eats the children. Some blamed jinn, others cursed technology, saying kids stared too long into their screens. But now I understood. It was the same thing, just wearing a new mask. The missing persons posters that vanished overnight, the sudden transfers of whole families, the schools that shut down without explanation, all of it tied back to this game. A cult without members, a predator without a body. And we were its prey. So those are the rules. The ones no one survives. If you ever see that icon, the pale stick figure with the crooked smile, delete it. Burn your phone if you have to. Don't touch it. Don't let curiosity win. Because it thrives on curiosity. That's how it spreads. That's how it finds you. And I wish I could tell you that by following these rules, you'd be safe. But that would be a lie. Because I followed them. I obeyed every single one. Except once. I broke a rule. And that's when the game came for me. By the time summer reached its end, there were barely any kids left in town. The cricket ground where we once argued over broken bats and tennis balls was silent. The banyan tree where Sanaa had dared us to climb higher and higher until someone cried was nothing but branches swaying in the monsoon wind. Even the ice cream cart, the one that rang its tinny bell every evening like clockwork, didn't show up anymore. Empty swings creaked in the playground as though invisible children still fought over turns. Chalk drawings on the street, hopscotch grids, crooked smiley faces, faded into dust. The ghosts of our laughter clung to the walls, but the voices themselves were gone. And I was still here. At first, I told myself I'd survive because I was smarter. Careful. I'd memorized the rules, followed them like scripture. But the truth gnawed at me. Maybe the game was sparing me on purpose. Like a cat with a mouse, it wanted to see me squirm before it struck. Because the signs were everywhere now. Not just on my phone. Not just in the whispers of midnight. Everywhere. The first glitch happened while scrolling through WhatsApp. No chats, just one message pinned at the top. A contact with no name. Just a blank profile picture. The message read, "Your turn." I didn't open it. I deleted the thread, restarted the phone, even factory reset it. But it came back. Every time. The second glitch happened in real life. I walked through the bazaar, past stalls of mangoes, guavas, cheap plastic toys, and saw it drawn on the shutter of a closed shop. A crooked stick figure smile, exactly like the one from the game. Someone had scrawled it in black paint. Its eyes weren't circles anymore. They were hollow dots that dripped like ink. And then came the voices. At night, when the fan clicked overhead and the rest of the house slept, I heard my name, whispered from the corner of the room, echoing from the dead phone I'd turned off and shoved in a drawer. The game wasn't confined to screens anymore. It had crawled out. I started noticing things about the adults too. How they never asked where the children had gone. How the tea shop owner who once teased us for buying biscuits with pocket change never mentioned the absence of his best customers. How my parents smiled at me strangely, as if waiting for me to disappear too. One evening, I asked my mother, "Where's Hamza? Where's Sana? Don't you remember?" She stirred the doll slowly, not meeting my eyes. "Beta, you should focus on your studies. Exams are coming." "But they're gone. Everyone's gone." She stopped stirring, just for a moment. Then she whispered, barely audible, "We lost you all long ago." And then she smiled again, as though nothing had happened. That was when it hit me. The adults weren't ignoring the disappearances. They already knew. They'd lost their children once before. Maybe years, maybe decades ago. This game wasn't new. It was a cycle. A curse passed down like inheritance. And I was trapped in it. One night, I wandered through the streets after the call to prayer had faded. The roads were deserted, shop fronts shuttered, stray dogs pacing hungrily in the alleys. I walked past the playground, past the empty swings, and I swore I saw them, shadows of my friends. Adnan waving. Sana, holding her teddy bear. Hamza, grinning with a cricket bat slung over his shoulder. But their faces were stretched, blurred, pixelated like broken avatars. I blinked, and they were gone. Only the rusted slide stood before me, its ladder rattling in the wind. The game's tasks kept coming. I didn't want to obey, but I didn't dare refuse. Draw the symbol on your wall. Don't sleep until 3:33 a.m. Walk past the banyan tree without looking up. Each command appeared as a notification, sometimes even in places a phone shouldn't allow. Pop-ups that bypassed airplane mode. Messages that appeared while the device was powered off. I followed. Always followed. Because I'd seen what happened when people didn't. But every task left a mark. My bedroom walls filled with crooked symbols I tried to scrub away. My eyes burned from sleepless nights, bloodshot and raw. And when I walked past that banyan tree, I heard something breathing above me. Heavy, hungry, waiting for me to look. I didn't, but I felt its eyes burning through my skull. Days blended into each other. The school gates remained locked. The market thinned out. The streets felt like movie sets, empty backdrops waiting for actors who would never come. And still, I walked alone, the last kid in a town that pretended nothing was wrong. One afternoon, I passed by the barber shop. The television inside was on, static buzzing. For a second, I saw my own face on the screen, my mouth moving without sound, my eyes wide and terrified. I stumbled back, heart pounding. The barber glanced up casually, as though nothing was there. I ran all the way home. By then I understood something terrifying. I wasn't just playing anymore. I was being played. The game didn't need me to tap the screen. It didn't need me to obey. I was its pawn whether I wanted to be or not. And worst of all, I started to suspect there was no winning. Every time the stick figure smiled at me, wider and wider, I knew it was counting down. Now, as I record this, the streets outside are completely silent. No kids, no parents, no stray dogs. Just the hum of the fan and the glow of my screen. I keep hearing knocks at the door, but when I check, no one's there. Symbols appear scratched into the wood, the same ones I've been forced to draw. I don't know how much longer I have, but I do know this. When the game wins, it doesn't just take you. It takes everything. Your voice, your memory, your place in the world, and then it replaces you with silence. So if you're watching this, maybe you're already marked. Maybe the game has already found its way into your phone, disguised as something harmless. A message, a file, a notification that says your turn. If you see it, don't touch it. Don't let curiosity win. Because once it starts playing, it never stops. And soon, you won't just be playing either. You'll be played. Do you want to know what happens when the game finally wins? Because that's the part one swore I'd never tell, until now. By then, sleep was impossible. Every time I closed my eyes, the game followed me inside. It wasn't just messages anymore. It wasn't even the whispers at night or the stick figure faces scrawled across the town. It was in my dreams, in my thoughts, in the spaces between my heartbeat. I kept asking myself the same question: what does it want? Because that was the thing. Games have rules. Games have winners and losers. But this one didn't seem to end. It just took. And it wasn't random. I started going through my phone, looking at the old messages from the others before they vanished. Pieces of conversations we'd had when we were still joking, when we still thought this was just a dare, just a thrill. Hamza had once texted, "It's weird. Every time I finish a task, I feel like, less me, like it's copying me." Sanaa had written, "Do you think the game knows us? Like really knows us?" At the time, we'd laughed it off. But now, scrolling through those fragments, I realized they weren't exaggerating. The game hadn't just been making us follow orders. It had been studying us, mimicking us, collecting pieces. And if it was collecting, then maybe it was building something. That's when I heard from Adnan. I thought he was gone. But one night, while I sat in my dark room, the phone buzzed. His name appeared. My heart nearly stopped. I answered immediately. Static. Then his voice. Shaky. Thin. But his. "Bro? You there?" "Yes, yes. Where are you? What happened to you?" He breathed hard, like he'd been running. "Listen, I don't have much time. I've seen it. I know what it wants." "What? Tell me. Tell me now." Silence. Then, "It's not about the tasks. It's not about the rules. The rules are distractions. Tests. Filters. Filters. Yeah. It's looking for something. Kids who'll follow. Kids who'll obey. It doesn't care about the rest. The ones who break the rules. They're discarded. Deleted." I gripped the phone tighter. "So, what happens to the ones who don't break the rules?" His voice dropped to a whisper. "We don't survive either. We're used." "Used how?" Static swallowed his words, but I caught fragments. Voices inside it. Not a game. Old as the town itself. Something waiting to be let in. "Adnan," I shouted. "Don't hang up. Tell me what it is." And then, mid-sentence, his voice glitched, stretched into digital shrieks, and cut out. The line went dead. His contact vanished from my phone a second later, like he'd never existed. I sat there shaking, the phone heavy in my hand. That was when I finally understood. The game wasn't about winning or losing. It was about recruitment. Every vanished kid hadn't disappeared randomly. They'd been taken, absorbed, into whatever the game was building. A network. A hive. A vessel. Something bigger than us. I tried to piece it together. The whispers, the symbols, the parents who acted like they already knew. Maybe this wasn't just some glitchy cursed app. Maybe it was older. Maybe the game wasn't created. Maybe it was summoned. An old ritual rewritten in digital code. A cult hiding inside childhood dares. A spirit that needed bodies. And now, in the age of phones and Wi-Fi, it had found a faster way to spread. And we were the perfect hosts. Curious. Reckless. Always online. Always ready to click what we shouldn't. The more I thought about it, the more the pattern made sense. The silence of the adults. The missing faces. The rules no one survived. It had happened before. And it was happening again. That night, the game sent me a new message. Not a task this time. A sentence. "You're ready." Ready for what? I didn't know. But I felt it, deep in my bones, like the air before a storm. I was the last one left. And it wanted me too. I tried to fight back. Deleted the app. Smashed the phone. Even left it in the canal near the old bridge, watching it sink beneath the muddy water. But when I got home, it was waiting for me. The phone lay on my bed, dry, screen glowing. "You can't leave." And beneath it, a list of names. My friends. Each one crossed out. Except mine. The final name. That was when the knock started again. Louder this time. Not just at the door, but at the windows, the walls, the floor beneath my bed. I pressed my hands to my ears, but I still heard the whispers threading through the knocks. Voices of the kids. My friends. Calling me. Begging me. Mocking me. I realized then, they weren't gone. Not really. They were inside it. And it wanted me to join them. I don't know if I'm strong enough to resist. I don't know if resistance even matters. But I do know this. The game doesn't end when you stop playing. It ends when it has all of you. And if you've listened this far, if you've heard my story, then maybe it's already looking at you too. Because that's how it spreads. Not just through files or messages, but through memory, through curiosity, through the ones who listen. I finally understood. And I wished I hadn't. Because once you know what the game really wants, it already knows you too. I always told myself I wouldn't get this far. That somehow, some miracle, I'd find a way to outsmart it, delete it, run from it. But I think you already know the truth. There's no running from the game. And tonight, it's my turn. The phone woke me with no sound, no buzz. Just the glow. It sat there on the desk like it was alive, screen pulsing with light. Not a notification, not a WhatsApp ping. Just a single phrase floating in the dark. Play final level. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. I thought about smashing the phone, burning it, even throwing it in the canal like Adnan once dared me to do with his old Nokia. But I knew better. The game wasn't trapped in the device. The device was just a door. The game was everywhere. And if I didn't open it now, it would open on its own. So I pressed it. The screen went black. My reflection stared back at me, wide-eyed and pale. Then the voices began. At first, it sounded like static. But then the static shaped itself into syllables, into words, into laughter. My friends' laughter. Their screams. Their final goodbyes before they disappeared. Hamza's nervous chuckle. Sanaa's sharp, teasing voice. Adnan's broken whisper. Don't play it, bro, don't. All of them at once. Layered, distorted, weaving into something that wasn't quite human anymore. And then my room dissolved. I was standing in the middle of the town. But not the town I knew. This one was washed in gray, drained of life. The cricket pitch was a cracked wasteland. The bazaar stalls hung open, meat rotting, fruit black with flies that didn't buzz. The streets stretched too long, bent at wrong angles, like a nightmare version of home. And the people, God, the people weren't people anymore. They twitched like shadows cut loose from their bodies. Faces blurred and melted. They had no eyes, no mouths, just the faint outlines of who they used to be. And yet, I recognized them. Every kid who vanished. They were all here. A message burned across the sky, letters made of lightning. Finished to join. And then the task appeared at my feet. Level objective. Walk to the end. That was it. Walk. That's all. But the path stretched on forever, lined with those figures, the not quite people who once were kids. As I moved, they turned their heads to follow me, their blurred faces rippling like water. Some reached out with long, glitching arms. Their fingers brushed my skin, cold as static. And I swear, I heard whispers every time they touched me. Stay. Play. Join. Halfway down the street, the scenery began to glitch. Houses flickered between normal and ruined. For 1 second, I'd see the bakery where we used to buy samosas. The next, it was an empty, burned-out husk. The swings in the playground moved on their own, squeaking, though no wind blew. And then, I heard my mother's voice. Clear, familiar, calling my name. I spun. There she was, standing in the doorway of our house, lit from behind like a ghost. Her silhouette was perfect, but when she spoke again, the sound fractured, split into 3 versions of her voice at once. Soft, harsh, and something inhuman layered beneath. Come home, Beta. Dinner's ready. I wanted to run to her, to collapse in her arms. But I remembered the rules. Don't trust the voices. Don't follow the shadows. I forced myself forward. Each step felt like walking deeper into quicksand. The path grew narrower, twisting into alleys that shouldn't exist. The game wasn't copying the town anymore. It was rewriting it. And then the challenges began. Not puzzles. Not levels. Choices. One alley forked into 2 paths. On the left, a door creaked open, and Hamza stepped out. Except half his face was pixel static. He begged me to follow. On the right, Sanaa laughed, her outline jittering like a bad video. She told me if I didn't choose, I'd lose. The objective on-screen changed. Choose a friend. I refused. I kept walking down the middle, between them. Both shadows screamed, voices cracking, before melting back into the walls. The phone buzzed violently in my hand. Rule broken. Penalty applied. My chest burned like someone had carved into me. I staggered, gasping, but didn't stop. Further on, the ground split. A hole opened beneath the street, revealing nothing. Just an endless black void with faint whispers rising out of it. The objective changed again. Jump or fall. Behind me, the figures pressed closer, dozens of them. Their whispers grew louder, weaving into one voice. The voice of the game. No choice is still a choice. I thought about turning back, about throwing myself in and ending it. But something inside me snapped. No, I said out loud. Not yet. And the moment I refused, the void sealed itself like it had never been there. The path stretched on, endless. Every street corner brought another distortion, another face, another choice I refused to make. My phone grew heavier, vibrating nonstop, the screen flashing with red warnings I couldn't understand. My body felt like it was splitting, half of me in this gray nightmare town, half still lying in my room, phone in hand, sweat soaking my sheets. And through it all, the voices of the lost kids followed. Join us. Play forever. You can't stop. At first, they begged. Then they mocked. Then they threatened. And then, they grew quiet. I reached the end of the road. At least, I think it was the end. A vast wall rose in front of me, covered in symbols that shifted too fast to follow. Eyes, mouths, doors, clocks, all bleeding into one another. In the center was a single crack, just wide enough to step through. The phone flashed its final message. Enter to finish. Behind me, the shadows closed in, surrounding me in a tightening ring. Every face I'd ever known stared at me without eyes. Their silence was worse than the whispers. I realized then that the game wasn't about winning. It was about bringing me here, to this wall, this door, this choice. And now it wants me to finish. But here's the thing. If I finish, it finishes me. That's the rule none of the others understood, or maybe they learned too late. To walk through that crack is to leave this side forever, to be swallowed whole by the game. And maybe you're wondering, will I step through? Will I resist? Will I break the rules one last time? I could tell you. I could describe what I see beyond the wall, what waits in that impossible space. I could tell you the truth about where the kids went, about what happens when the game wins. But if I tell you, it won't stop with me. It'll come for you too. So this is where I leave you. Don't ask me to finish. Don't wait for part 2. Because if you're still listening, if you've made it this far, the game already knows your name. I wasn't supposed to tell you any of this. Every word I've spoken, every memory I've scraped out of my head and laid bare here, it's a mistake. Maybe the last one I'll ever make. But mistakes spread. And now that you've heard my story, it isn't just mine anymore. It's yours. You think you're safe because it's just a video. Just a story you can close when it gets too heavy. Just pixels and sound waves push through your device. But that's the first lie the game tells you. That it stays locked inside the screen. Let me ask you something. Have you noticed the glitches yet? The little hitches in the audio, the flicker in your screen when I said certain words? That wasn't bad editing. That wasn't a weak connection. That was it. Testing your signal. Finding a way in. I know what you're thinking. He's exaggerating. This is part of the script. It's just a creepypasta. And maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just a voice in the dark, reading words someone else wrote, meant to scare you for a night and then fade away. But what if you're wrong? What if the act of listening is all it takes? That's the piece I didn't understand when I first started playing. The file wasn't just something you downloaded. It was something that downloaded you. The moment you looked at it, it looked back. The moment you touched it, it touched you. And the moment you shared it, forwarded it to a friend, even mentioned it aloud, it spread. Like rot. Like mold. Like hunger. I can feel it spreading through this recording, even now. The words aren't neutral anymore. They carry pieces of it. Hooks, barbs, instructions written in ways we can't consciously see. By the time you reach the end, you'll wonder if something's already shifted in your device. In your home. In you. But don't panic. That's the worst thing you can do. Panic feeds it. Pretend you didn't notice. Pretend this is just a story. Pretend the silence in your room hasn't changed. That it doesn't feel heavier, closer, like someone else is listening alongside you. Because the moment you acknowledge it, it grows stronger. There's one more thing you need to know. The game spreads through links. Always a link. A message on WhatsApp. A DM on Instagram. An email with no subject line. Sometimes it's obvious, a file attachment with the old names we all remember. Sometimes it's disguised, hidden in memes, TikToks, even QR codes. It doesn't matter how it reaches you. What matters is what you do when it does. You'll be tempted. You'll think, maybe it's the same one from the story. Maybe if I click it, I'll finally see the truth. Don't. That's how it begins. That's how it began for me. For Hamza. For Sana. For all the others who thought they could outsmart it. The link is bait. The file is the hook. And once you open it, you're caught. So here's my warning, as clear as I can give it. If you ever get the link, don't open it. If it shows up in your inbox, delete it. If your friend sends it, block them. If you wake up to find it already there, pulsing on your screen, waiting, Pray it isn't too late. I can't tell you what will happen if you ignore me. Maybe you'll forget this video, laugh it off, and move on with your life. Maybe nothing will happen. Or maybe, weeks from now, you'll wake in the middle of the night to find your phone glowing. No sound, no notification, just a single phrase, waiting for you in the dark. And when that happens, you'll remember me. But by then, remembering won't matter. Because the game remembers you. Check your phone. If the file's there already, don't open it.